This is the Tom Bigby Tales, and I'm your host, Shannon Evans. Today's episode is titled Cash Strapped Carpenter. The Tom Bigby Tales is a simple podcast from Columbus, Mississippi, a small town on the Tom Bigby River. Sometimes I write about the rest of the state. Today is about our favorite topic, the now defunct CVB director who has moved over to the Columbus Cultural Heritage Foundation. Common sense has prevailed with the Columbus Cultural Heritage Board. They will not be closing the Tennessee Williams Center during pilgrimage, despite Nancy Luke Carpenter's best efforts to close it. Why on earth would she want to close during the busiest weekend in spring for Columbus tourism? The Historic Home Tours Spring Pilgrimage, the Preservation Society Home Tours, Porch Fest, a 2-day music festival, a baseball tournament, and a soccer tournament, all going on in the weekend that Carpenter wanted to close the Tennessee Williams building. Well, Miss I Don't Do Tourism is foiled again. Unfortunately, the visitor center will close after that until allegedly the end of August. So Market Street Festival will be impacted. However, she usually has closed then because she does not want the unwashed masses using their public toilets at the Tennessee Williams building, which are completely funded by our tax dollars. Maybe we should rename the Tennessee Williams home the Unwelcome Center. What's interesting to note is that while we know Nancy has no salary of any note in the budget at the Tennessee Williams building, she will be sending her 3 docents home for the summer, presumably unpaid. If Carpenter plans to keep the building closed, will she still invoice the CVB, their funding agency, for the docent's salary? That would then put $3,300 a month in Nancy's pocket to make up for what she won't be paying the docents. She will need something to supplement her purse retirement of less than $40,000 per year and whatever Social Security she gets. She does live a high lifestyle. So in order to afford all those Gucci shoes and purses, she's going to need more money. So to me, that explains why she pulled some financial shenanigans on the way out of the cash-rich CVB doors. She was not allowed to keep her CVB phone, her laptop, or her desktop computer. They weren't hers, and they were paid for by public funds, not her personal funds. Angry, she contacted the CVB's tech support contractor, Exceed Technology, and had them wipe all her equipment clean and back up files for her to have. We're not sure if it's just personal or if it included CVB files, but she had them backed up and sent to her. But the loss of those important files for the current staff is unconscionable and adding unnecessary stress and investigatory workload for them. To add insult to injury, Carpenter had the contracted agency of Exceed Technology build the CVB for what they did for her personally. She hired 2 off-duty city workers at the same time to help her move her personal things out of her office and the CVB storage building, which used to be the Musselwhite building. She told the workers to invoice the CVB for their fees. No, Nancy, those are your fees. Now your last check from the CVB will be lighter, and I hope they prosecute you for destruction of CVB intellectual property on those computers. I wonder if the news board at the Columbus Cultural Heritage Foundation is aware of Carpenter's thieving ways. They might want to check the bank account for the Dixie Butler $75K gift for the Tennessee Williams statue. Since I last brought that up, not another word has been spoken of it, and certainly there is zero accountability in place. The artist is presumably finished building his new studio and has yet to hear from her again. So when will the work start? Is the money still there? Now that Miss Butler is in nursing care, who was watching over the funds and holding Carpenter accountable for this specially designated funding for Mrs. Butler's passion project? I honestly would not put it past Carpenter to play shell games with the $75K for the bench, especially since that matching $50K she needed for the MDAH grant that she was promised by Mayor Gaskin, yet he's never secured with the city council and has clearly fallen through. With all her usual funding sources, aka the CVB, dried up, she has to be desperate to make up her shortfall. So, knowing how shady Carpenter operates in a day to day basis, do you put it past her to misuse money donated by a blind, bedridden, super senior under nursing care? I don't. The Columbus Cultural Heritage Board President, Brenda Willis, members Sonic Johnson, Talia Carter, and others need to carefully consider the wisdom of their choice of Nancy Carpenter as their current director. All of their funding comes from the CVB, the same organization that essentially fired Carpenter and forced her into retirement due to her wasteful spending, misuse of CVB, also known as taxpayer dollars, and her insubordination. The foundation cannot keep the lights on, pay the note on the building, or pay their docents without the CVB's generosity. What's their plan to pay those bills if the CVB pulls their funding because they don't trust leadership with Carpenter at the helm? Does the board leadership have a backup plan if that happens? Will they be able to afford to fund Carpenter's future salary expectations and the cost of operating the Tennessee Williams building on their own? How? With grants? Most grants don't fund salaries. So I ask again, what is their backup plan? Whatever it is, as long as Carpenter is nearby, they better keep their personal wallets and their board wallets close. She's bound to be getting desperate since all her usual dollar sources have clearly all dried up. I want to thank you for coming on today's episode of the Tom Digby Tales. Until next time.